Yeah, I got into digital media around 2009. I started as a writer and then became an editor. And then I got into photography, which kind of put me in the world of cameras. In 2016, I started editing video for a media company that I used to work for. And then in 2020, because of COVID, I lost my job there. And that's what pushed me into making the switch to freelance. My videography is focused on storytelling, so it's really documentary style content that I create for my clients, which are mainly nonprofits. It's the crafting of stories is what I really love, and the sharing of people's stories, because I think that's what connects humans essentially, is our stories. I love working with the Kootenay screen-based industry. It's a really great collection of people from around the Kootenays. We're videographers and artists of all kinds that work in different aspects of the screen-based industry. I know it's a resource that I can tap into if I need help on a project, or I've been tapped to be part of other people's projects. So lots of collaboration happens in that way. One thing I love about KSBI is all of the events and the workshops that they facilitate. The meetups are great. They're just a really great opportunity to get together. I'm always meeting someone new at them. Every month, there's always at least one new person that I get to meet and connect with. When I first started my freelance career, I had a mentor named Alex Botten who was living in town, who's now living in Kelowna. Basically what I would do is I would hire him to help me on shoots, but he would end up mentoring me. So it was a really kind of interesting collaboration because yes, I hired him, but he was actually teaching me a lot just through working together. Another mentor of mine has been Amy Bohegan, who I got to start working with several years ago. She would hire me as a camera operator on some of her projects. Working with Amy led into working with her on Southern Interior, which was the largest production that I've ever worked on. We spent 2 weeks shooting this sketch comedy series. I was the production sound person, and I also did post-production in terms of the sound editing and sound design. Another one of the KSBI members, Jeremy Grant, I got to meet him when he produced his short film Dawn a few years ago. And I came on board as the location sound recordist, and that was filmed entirely just locally in Nelson, in Blewett. I first met Sarah Kapoor, who is the current film commissioner for the Kootenay region, several years ago. We worked together on a couple of projects, and then I hired her as my story producer for the documentary that I'm working on now called Outsiderness. Through the process of making Outsiderness, I've been on a huge personal journey. I'm almost 50 now, and I have never been interested in learning about my ancestral culture, the language. If I went back to the Philippines or not didn't really matter to me. But over the last few years, as I've worked on this project, those things have really risen inside of me, and I've done a lot of learning about my culture, and even learning some of the language, and talking to lots of first and second generation Filipinos about their experiences of living in and coming to Canada. Today I can say that I'm a very proud Filipino, where in the past that definitely wasn't the case. So it's amazing to me that this process of filmmaking is able to affect me in that kind of way. So I would almost encourage anyone who's a documentary filmmaker to make a film about yourself, even if you never actually release the film. To me, it was really the vehicle of personal growth. I just finished a project called Ahon, which means it's Tagalog for rise, and it was created by Trixie Passes, who lives in Kimberley. She was the director, and I came on board as one of the collaborators. So I helped shoot it. I edited the film. I did the sound design and sound mix, and we just recently had our premiere at the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. And the reason I'm very proud of this is because it's a story about a group of Filipino mountaineers based in the Rockies. And I've gone to the Banff Film Festival year after year, and I've been to so many, of those types of film festivals. And one thing that is consistently lacking is a lack of diversity on the screen. And so to be able to be a part of diversifying the landscape in that way, it was such a big thing to me, because representation is very important to me. It was important to me as a kid, because I know that as a young person, growing up in the 80s, I didn't see a lot of people of color on the screen, or in the music that I listened to. And so I remember, even though I might not have said, like that space isn't for me, it was definitely internalized and I felt that. And it's when I started to see people of color like in bands and, in television shows playing more than just, the stereotypical whatever it is. That meant a lot to me because it opened up doors basically. It made me feel more welcome to participate in these things. So representation is it's a very really big thing for me, and I want a big part of what I do. I want that to be a part of it. I want to work on projects where I am helping increase representation and diversify, the screen-based industry.